protecting Main Street from Wall Street. It's time for Money Unleashed with Eric Johnson and Kyle Allyn.
You have to have a plan where you know if the market's going to go up, what happens next. And you also have to have a plan where if it doesn't go the way you think, you know what you're going to do.
It's time to put you back in control of your money.
I'm not trying to predict the weather, which is kind of what we're talking about, right? It's predicting the stock market. I'm trying to build a better boat.
This is Money Unleashed with Eric Johnson and Kyle Allyn.
Welcome to the Money Unleashed podcast with Eric Johnson and Kyle Allyn. We are the vice presidents of Hoffman Financial Group. We've got new episodes for you on Monday and Friday. Be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And catch us on Money Unleashed every Saturday on 95.5 WSB from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. What we're going to talk about now, everybody, is how to create a rock-solid income plan. So planning for retirement, it's not just about saving, I'm here to tell you. Right now, it's the easy part. But ensuring that your money lasts, that's the hard part. We're here to help you with that, and we want to talk about income because that's the keys to the castle for a successful retirement plan, is attacking the income piece. So Morningstar boiled down a process for this, right, with 7 simple steps that can help us. So let's go over some of these retirement income steps so we can get people prepared for thinking about how to spend their money properly without having it draw down.
The first one I would argue is figuring out and estimating what your retirement expenses may be, right?
Yep.
What's it going to cost? So if you can sit down and kind of figure this out, this is going to be step number 1. Now, we talk about on the show sometimes there's some national averages. So national average for retirees on fund is about $2,000 a month. The average of cost of living here in Atlanta is about $5,000 a month. So I would say that kind of fits with what we see. There are a lot of retirees spending somewhere between $6,000 and $8,000 a month on their bills and their fund. Now, of course, that can adjust based on your mortgage. So when I'm saying that the bills cost $5,000, that's with a $2,000 to $2,500 a month mortgage.
Yeah, and also you can adjust that to the amount of fun you want to have.
That's right.
You know, a lot of people come in, and what's the first thing they want to do when they retire?
You want to travel.
They want to go on a big trip, right? So, and then here's the thing I know about big trips. You go on one big trip and you love it, you're going to want another big trip, and another big trip. So, again, just like making French toast every Saturday for my girls, they always want more. So,
and here's the good news. I want to pause you on this because I just had this conversation yesterday. The client came in and they said, we're going to take big trips. And they said it with this sort of declarative, this authority, like I was going to stop them. And I said, okay, well, what do the big trips cost you? And they said, well, about $10,000 to $15,000. I said, great, I think you should take 3 to 4. They both stopped in their tracks and looked at each other and looked at me and go, 3 to 4? We were thinking 1 to 2. So one of the things that happens often is people have spent their whole lives saving, scrimping, scraping, fighting, working. They get into retirement and they don't have the perspective of what these expenses look like, and they don't have the perspective of what they could actually achieve. And that's why I'm teeing this up, because I want you to take us into the second one, right? The second one is your income sourcing.
Income sources, right. So there's a multitude of different ways of creating your income sources. And this is why number 1 is so critical. I would argue that that's probably the one question that most people don't know, and that's how much their outflow is. Until you figure out what your outflow is, you can't really figure out what the inflow needs to be, right? Or what's appropriate for inflow, let's just say, because taking too much money and taking too little money obviously is going to affect the results on this. So again, I want to hammer down number 1, make sure you figure out what your outflow is. And here's the big problem with number 1 is we're all human beings. So you have the fight or flight mechanism. So it's like, hey, what do you need in retirement? Everybody automatically whittles it down to the bare bones minimum just to live. That's not it. Make sure you always overshoot, right? Because if you overshoot and then you get more money in retirement, that's better. Okay, so I just want to button up number 1. Number 2, reliable income sources. So let's talk about this, right? So obviously there's Social Security out for most people out there. Some people are blessed enough to have a pension still. Right?
And when you say some, you mean about 3% of Americans.
Listen, and back in the day, there used to be plenty of pensions. Companies used to take care of people. They don't do that any longer, right? No one takes care of each other anymore. It's all like, go get your own. But here's the bottom line is you have to take what you've saved up and create those income streams to protect you in retirement. And why do I say protect you? Because when you're not working any longer, it's about the income. That is how you survive. Like you take what you have created and you can create income off of it, right? A lot of people just are very simply using the typical Wall Street model of stocks, bonds, and mutual funds and thinking, oh, dividend stocks.
Yeah, and I've seen so many people come in when we look at their current portfolio, the payout is 2 to 3%. So they're thinking to themselves, well, I can't spend money because the payout is 2 to 3%. Well, what if we could double that?
Right.
It does exist. And so I think that's one of the hardest parts for the client is the world is always moving, the world is always changing, but that's why you need a financial advisor to be able to come back in and say, in the world of income, in the world of dividends, in the world of yield, these are the power players. These are the things that ultimately are paying 5, 6, and 7% to be able to get you through this worry, get you through this fear. I think if most people realized they could get 5, 6, 7% payout, they'd go, oh, then I have what I need.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why people walk in with $2+ million and are like, I'm only making 3%. Like you don't become a multimillionaire to spend $50,000 every year or $60,000 every year. You want to be able to take multiple trips like your clients were talking about, multiple times a year, right? So, and it's up to us ultimately to take up what we saved and create those reliable income sources to supplement the pensions and Social Securities out there. And that's how you create a specific retirement plan.
Because you were talking about this, I wanted to talk a little bit about proportion. So Investopedia is showing us that 3.2% of retirees have $1 million in retirement accounts.
That is mind-boggling.
That means 96, 97% of people that are retiring don't even have the million. And if the millionaires are worried...
What's it feel like for everybody on the other side of the coin?
Totally.
Yeah, 100%. So, yeah, it's about making sure that you have reliable income sources, right? So that parlays quite nicely into number 3, which is determining your income replacement ratio. So we refer to this all the time on the show. We call it replace your paycheck because that's your job. Like, when you retire, it's your job to figure out how to replace your paycheck with what you've saved up, right? So, and what that means in English to everybody out there is you need to take a portion of your portfolio and you need to create income. Like a lot of people come in and I feel like they're like, I need to create income with every single penny. That is not so because, well, yes, if you're making 2 or 3%, then maybe.
Yeah,
right?
Well, that's why they think that, right?
Yeah, that's why they think that. But when you open up the reality that there's a 5 to 8% world out there that's extremely safe, it's like circling the wagons, right? And you have a very small amount that's at risk, and you're like, wow, I didn't realize I can create this stuff for myself. And here's the bottom line: when we're talking about replacing your paycheck, it doesn't take as much money as you think to create the income that you need to supplement your pensions and Social Security. What does that mean in English? It means there's money off to the side that you could still invest in the market. Maybe it's a 60-40, maybe it's a 70-30, and you can actually still grow your retirement while you are creating income for yourself. So,
which is number 6 here, right? You've got to account for inflation.
Yeah, well, you got to account for inflation. Oh, are we skipping? Are we going from 3 to 6?
You took me there, so I just said it.
All right, well, let's tackle 6, then we'll walk it back to 4. But yeah, you got to account for inflation too, which we do for people. Now, the Fed's always talking about this 2% number. I'm calling BS, right? Because in the CPI numbers, which is, the basic numbers that most people look at inflation, gasoline and food aren't included on those, right? I'm not a doctor, but I use those every day, right? So I always want to bump the inflation up. And how do you keep up with inflation? Making sure you're still growing your portfolio. Making sure you're still growing your portfolio and taking that growth and adding it to your income every year to keep up with inflation. So I didn't want to dive too deep because I know we got 4, 5, and 6 to go over. But what's number 4, Kyle?
All right. So number 4, we're going to go into lifestyle changes, right? So there are certain things that we just can't see coming, right? So when you talk about this, a lot of times you say we want to get more income.
Yes.
Right? So we don't want to just hit the number. We want to get more than the number. And when we talk about growth, well, how much does somebody want to make in their portfolio?
More.
That's right.
That's right.
So we've got these changes coming, these adjustments coming, and we've got to be able to figure out, okay, well, what happens when our spending habits aren't what they are currently? What happens when our expenses become more? What happens when we end up in a position where maybe healthcare cost becomes extremely exorbitant because we're in a position where we've got to go cover some need that we didn't see coming? What happens when leisure activities change their price structure, right? There was a time when, I was thinking about this the other day. You remember how cheap gas was 20 years ago?
Oh, I remember in high school it was like $1.19.
Right,
I was like, sweet, if I get my $20, I could spend $6 on gas and the rest on baseball cards.
So if your retirement road trip was what you wanted to do for your leisure, well, all of a sudden it cost a different amount. So one of the things you've got to do is you got to start accounting for that. And I think the main way to account for a factor in lifestyle changes is You've got to make hay when the sun is shining, right? So if the market is moving and accumulation is happening and we're seeing expansion and growth within the S&P 500, you've got to be in that moment. You can't wait. We talk about it often. If you miss just the 50 best days in the last 10 years, the growth of your portfolio basically disappears. So this idea that you're going to time the market, you're going to wait and jump in, you will mess up these factor lifestyle changes because you will not keep up, you will not grow. So you've got to find things that you can stay in that over time will see abundance, and you've got to capture that abundance.
Right. And when it involves income planning, here's how you do it. Like, yes, your bills have to be satisfied every single month, but you need to have an accrual or a savings account attached to that income plan, and that's what helps you save for the lifestyle changes. Here's another one, because we talked about lifestyle changes. What about healthcare costs, right? This is the stuff people don't want to think about until they actually get into it. But you need to make sure that your income plan can grow over time, that can take advantage of the fact that you have so much money coming in to satisfy the healthcare costs. And why do I talk about that? Because lifestyle changes, that's in the go-go years of your retirement. When you're in the slow-go years of your retirement, which is at the end piece, the way your lifestyle is going to go down, right? Like, you're not going to be traveling to Italy every year,
right,
or Argentina. And guess what's going to take the money over for the healthcare? It's the money we're spending on the experiences is now going to be going towards healthcare costs. So that's why when I create an income plan for people, I want to flood people with income at the beginning. And they're like, oh, this is too much money. I'm like, try the jacket on. I promise it fits, because you're going to find a way to spend that money. But the older you get, those experiences are going to go down. Your healthcare is going to go up. And if you already got the money coming back in, that's the keys to the castle.
And I just had this conversation with a client yesterday. So they joined me, I think, 10 years ago. And he said, Kyle, it's clear to me that we're not going to run out of money. It's clear to me that we're good. But what happens if I end up in a position, as far as healthcare is concerned, and I have to take a large amount of money out and spend it, let's say, at 90? So we pulled up the in-stream, we pulled up the income plan, and we walked through and we said, all right, where are you at 90? I said, do you see how you have an additional $1 million sitting there ready for you if I pay attention? And he smiled and he goes, I'm glad you're paying attention. I go, yes, sir. This is why this matters. So if you're with an advisor and you've been with them for many years and you haven't heard from them in a while, well, part of the reason they need to pay attention, part of the reason they need to be up on the markets and the things that they're investing in is because there is life abundant in different ways, not just income and travel, like you said, but healthcare costs at the end of the process.
It's so funny you just say that, because obviously we touched on number 6, which is inflation, but number 7, review and adjust your plan actively, right? Like, things change. There's no such thing as set it, forget it in this world. And that's, why we like to meet with our clients as much as we do, so we can actually make these additional tweaks to make sure that we are on top of it and staying ahead of the things that you want. And guys, I'm here to tell you, Hoffman Financial Group, we're here to help you with this. We believe that everybody needs a great financial plan, including an income plan that's designed to weather the storms, to handle both the highs and the lows of what's going to happen throughout your retirement. And working with the right financial advisory team is critical. Give us a call today and let's show you how easy it is to put this plan together. We'll run a portfolio x-ray for you. We'll show you where you are on the map of retirement. And once we get you sized up, we can create a full financial plan for you that includes this income plan that Kyle and I are talking about. And I want to remind everybody out there, we do this at no cost and no obligation, and the plan is yours to keep. Give us a call, 404-640-5511. That's 404-640-5511. Or you can find us online at unleashyourmoney.com.
Eric Johnson and Kyle Allyn are investment advisor representatives of Brookstone Wealth Advisors, LLC, a registered investment advisor and affiliate of Brookstone Capital Management, LLC. BWA and Hoffman Financial Group are affiliated under common ownership. Registered investment advisors and investment advisor representatives act as fiduciaries for all of our investment management clients. We have an obligation to act in the best interest of our clients and to make full disclosures of any conflicts of interest. Please refer to our firm brochure, the ADV2A, page 4, for additional information. The Hoffman Financial Group and WSB are not affiliated. Exposure to ideas and financial vehicles discussed should not be considered investment advice or recommendation to buy or sell any financial vehicle. This information should not be considered tax or legal advice. Individuals should consult with a professional specializing in the field of tax, legal, accounting, or investments regarding the applicability of this information for their situation. Any client experiences discussed during the show are unique to that client. They are not meant to imply or suggest you will experience the same results. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. Investments will fluctuate and when redeemed may be worth more or less than when originally invested. Any comments regarding safe and secure products and guaranteed income streams refer only to fixed insurance products. They do not refer in any way to securities or investment advisory products. Fixed insurance and annuity product guarantees are subject to the claims paying ability of the issuing company and are not offered by Brookstone. Index or fixed annuities are not designed for short-term investments and may be subject to caps, restrictions, fees, and surrender charges as described in the annuity contract. Please refer to our firm brochure, the ADV2A Item 4, for additional information. Hoffman Financial Group is not affiliated with or endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency. Insurance licensed in Georgia, number 163546.